live with artbeads.com here, just like I said, at Bead Fest. And guys, we are at the end of the show. Can you believe it? A lot of you have been joining us for every single live from home, here in the audience. We've had so much fun and we've made it to the very end, and we are ending with a bang. Great time. So I brought a friend along with me, you guys. This is my dear friend, Miss Meredith Roddy from Beadalon. And Meredith and I have something really cool to end the show with for you guys. I'm really excited about this new product. It's going to be available over on artbeads.com, and I cannot wait to show you guys what it is, and definitely, in my opinion, save some of the best for last. Not only am I getting to hang with Meredith to close out my first tour of duty here at Bead Fest with Art Beads, I get to show off some really cool tools. And everybody needs an excuse to get new tools. So this is the perfect opportunity to do so, because on artbeads.com, these tools actually are going to be part of our Bead Fest Frenzy, which is 20% off store-wide. And the fact that we're debuting something new and then also including it with that 20% off is pretty crazy. So I may not seem super excited about it. I am inside, trust me. It's just, we're running low on the energy here. I don't even know how to. All right, so I'm going to hand the mic over to Meredith so that she can tell you guys a little bit about herself, just in case you don't happen to know Meredith Roddy, and about Beadalon, which is an amazing brand. So, without further ado,
thank you so very much, Sara. Thank you guys for having me here to debut some new tools from Beadalon, and we appreciate artbeads.com so much for testing them out, for bringing them in, and then also for giving me the opportunity to come hang out with you all, talk about them a little bit here at the very end of our Bead Fest show. Oh my gosh, so did you guys have a great time at Bead Fest? Fabulous. I really did too. I really enjoyed it. Yep. And I enjoyed so much hanging out with my beady friends this weekend. Okay, so I'm just opening my phone up really quickly to get some information about our new tools. So bear with me for 1 second. Oh my goodness. Let's go phone. There we go. Okay. So what we're talking about today are part of a much larger line of brand new tools from Beadalon. I'm actually going to take this guy out of the picture because we all know those pliers. Those are our favorite pliers that we know and love, those nippers. But we're going to be talking about the nylon inner jaw chain nose pliers and the nylon inner jaw round nose pliers. And what makes these guys so special is you can see here, certainly, they have a round nose or a chain nose, just like you know from your traditional pliers, but they also have this nylon insert. And the nylon insert is great for a number of different reasons, not the least of which is you can use it to straighten your wire, right, before you wire work, because as Sara and I both know, before you do any wire work, you want to make sure that your wire is nice and straight. Sometimes when it comes off the spool, not so safe. When you have a big old box of wire, that is all. Sara's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a big old box of wire that's all tangled up. I have a big old box of wire that's all tangled up. We all do. But when you cut that wire apart, you need to straighten it out before you start on your wire working. And that is a perfect way to do that. Another thing that I've been using it for is, I call it chomping. Do you do chomp chomps?
I do chomp chomps, yeah.
So when you're doing your wire work, I know that that's the technical term for it.
Totally.
But oftentimes you have to straighten things out. You have to zhuzh things around. You have to move them around a little bit. And that little chomp chomp is perfect. It's just that little extra amount that you need to be able to do that for really, really good wire work. The other thing is, I don't know if you do this, Sara, wink wink, because I know you do, when you make wrap loops, right? We're making our wrap loops, you go around, you do your wrap, but there's always that that last step that you do where you straighten the top of your loop. You give it a little squeeze, a little chomp to make sure that that loop is in the perfect alignment and it's perfectly happy to go join its friends along the line of whatever you're doing in your wire working. And that, again, we're not picking up, we're not putting down. We have that same one tool to do all of the steps that we need. The other great feature about these tools is they have a TPE handle. These are vinyl free, and that's a really big deal. You're going to hear a lot more about that as the days, the months, the years go by. Vinyl free handles are going to become industry standard, and Beadalon is actually the first company that I know of, I think I'm pretty right in this, that has come out and we've replaced all of our tools with vinyl free TPE handles, which is a really big deal in the industry. So those are the nylon inner jaw chain and round nose pliers. And we also have here a whole new set of, this is part of a whole new set of our crimping pliers. This is the standard crimper, of course, the one that you use probably 90% of the time, unless you're using really thick wire or really thin wire. But I don't know if the camera is picking it up. I'm really hoping that it is. But these guys have this, again, a vinyl-free TPE handle that has a little bit of a fleck in it, a little sparkle. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I like a little sparkle.
You might. Maybe.
Does that come as a great surprise to everybody? And so too, in the handle of this crimping plier, we've got that sparkle. So sure, we want our tools to be functional. We want them to work when we need them, but we also want our tools to be kind of cool looking. Kind of fun to have around and to look at and to use while we're doing it. So I'm really excited. These are 3 of my absolute favorite tools from our new launch, so I'm really glad that artbeads.com has chosen those to be the tools that they're launching. And I'll let you talk a little bit more about what that all means for people to be able to get.
So as Meredith mentioned, these are going to be available or are available right now on artbeads.com. So if you want to grab these and kind of give them a test run, that's kind of how I feel about it, because I've not really had the opportunity to use these yet. But I got to tell you, the fact that they have,
put it in your hands and you can feel it.
the fact that they have that nylon insert in them, I'm really excited. But what I'm most excited about, in addition to that, is the way that these feel in my hands. Because I'm really particular, and one of the number one questions that I get asked from people all the time is, where did you get your tools? What kind of tools are you using? Because I think a lot of people, when they see me working, they see themselves in me, and they see a similar hand shape, or they see that I do a lot of the same things that they're doing, and they want to be comfortable doing that. So if they figure I'm using the same tools over and over again, then they must be comfortable and they must work well. I have, and just like you, I have a little bit of a smaller hand. So when I am using the tools that have the big chunky handles on them, sometimes after a couple of hours, and let's be honest, sometimes our projects take hours, it can be really uncomfortable. So I'm really excited because these are like just the right size to fit right in your hands, and they have 2 functions, which is fantastic. So I'm getting 3 really wonderful things all in one tool. So really excited to show this off. Eric had given me the task of, and the team, of finding some things that we thought were really cool here at BeadFest, and what we wanted to share with you guys immediately. And this was the number one thing. This was hands down the choice of what we wanted to share with you guys. So we're really happy to be able to get these to you guys right away. So if you want to grab these now, artbeads.com is going to be your place to do that. Now, I do want to talk about the crimpers too, because lately I've been using the crimpers now for a little while. People have seen me with these in my hands. So these are a little bit different because I have actually been working with these a little bit longer than when they actually were released. Yeah. I get the secret sauce sometimes, but it's funny because, and I've mentioned this before, I didn't realize how much I needed a new pair of crimper tools. I didn't know how bad my old crimper had worn out until I got this one. And I was like, you know what? I can tell a big difference, because crimping is one of those things that we do that sometimes can be stressful. And so you want to be sure that you're checking all of the boxes to make it as easy as possible, right? So I want to be sure that I know what I'm doing, that I'm holding the tool right, and all of those things. But if your crimper tool has been around the block a couple of times, you know, like mine's been hanging out for about 10 years, it was time, it was overdue. And I didn't realize it until I picked up the new one and crimped with it. And I was like, oh, wow, that was so much easier than I didn't realize I was struggling so much. So any opportunity to get your hands on a new pair of crimpers, I would definitely go for them. Plus these are sparkling, so you know, we love the sparkle.
I mean, you had me at sparkle. You had me at sparkle, Sarah.
Of course, of course.
Do you want to try to use them?
Yes.
All right, here, let me.
You want to walk through, or you? I'll hold the microphone.
You'll hold the
and you talk.
microphone
Yeah,
and I'll talk through
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're the expert.
All right. First and most important tool, glasses. Right. Put those on so I can see what I'm doing. So before we went on, before Eric came over with the camera, I made sure that I went up, around, and through, and I'm just using a little ring here as an example. And let's just go over proper crimping really quickly.
Yep.
I feel like you can't do this too many times, and every time I demonstrate crimping, you probably get this as well, you have an aha moment from somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So if I can, every time I do this, have an aha moment from one person, my work is done. So crimping, 3-step process. We're gonna come in the front of the pliers, the back of the pliers, and back to the front of the pliers again. Very important, I have matched here my crimp tube size with my wire and my tool. Number one thing that people do when crimps fail is to not follow that equation. You want to always make sure you have the proper crimp tube or bead for the size of wire that you're using and the proper size crimp tool. So first things first, I'm going to come here in the front and I am going to bend my crimp tube. I'm going to squeeze down gently, not too hard, not too soft, just the right touch, to turn that tube into an oval. Then I'm going to come back here in the back jaw of my pliers, and I'm doing this so that my wires are not crossed within that crimp tool. And I'm going to gently press down in that back notch so that my wires, one goes in the front, and because Eric was in front of my face, I couldn't quite see. One should be in the back. It's almost there, but it's a pretty good one, right? It is. And I'm just going to go kind of up and down to make sure that everything is where it properly should be. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go perpendicular in the front of my pliers again. Make sure I have that nice and perpendicular. And I'm going to do a gentle squeeze again. And I'm going to round and round and round around. I'm not doing any flattening. I'm not coming in with my chain nose pliers. I'm certainly not coming in with the front of these pliers to smash that crimp any more than the rounding process. Then I give a gentle tug to make sure it took, and I have a really, really nice crimp. And Sarah makes a really good point. Our tools last a very long time, but if you're like us and you're really hard on your tools, and you're doing demos day in and day out, you're doing production jewelry for sale, maybe you have an Etsy shop or you do festivals, you really want to make sure that that your tools are refreshed every once in a while. And it might be that you think your crimpers are fine and they're still working, but you try a fresh one out of the box and all of a sudden you're like, wow, that makes a huge difference in my jewelry.
A huge difference. So much so. It's funny because she's sitting here saying these words, and the way that I ended up with the crimper tool in the first place before they debuted was because I actually got that email from Meredith and she was like, have you refreshed your tools yet? Have you? It's been a minute.
What do you need that's new, Sarah?
Right, yeah, let me help you out with that. Because it looks like it might be time, and it definitely was time. So let this be your sign that it is time for you to refresh your crimpers and your pliers. And you're getting 2 tools in one with each one of those pliers. So pretty cool. Do you want to just really quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but do you want to just show really quickly how to use it? Sure. Maybe some people don't know for sure how to use that nylon jaw that's in there.
Absolutely.
And why that's important. There may be some new people out there, new beaders who don't know.
Okay, perfect. So here you can actually really well see that off of my spool, right? It's not even coming out of a difficult box of wire. My wire is a little crinkly here, right? And I want it to start with a really nice palette or a nice canvas of wire. So I'm using that nylon jaw and I'm pulling it right along that wire, and it's straightening out. I'm doing it slowly and deliberately and a couple of times, but it's straightening out all of those bends so I can start with a nice fresh canvas, nice fresh clean canvas of wire. And I don't want it to grab it just like I did. I don't want to grab it down in those steel jaws. I want to make sure that I am dragging it along on the back part of the wire. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab my nippers over here and nip that off. Now we're going to do a wrap loop, right? So I think Sara and I do our wrap loops the same. I think we might have just a little bit that we do differently, but this is how I do mine. I'm holding it in between and using my thumb as a guide, and I'm going to bend that down at about a 45-degree angle, come over the top with my fingers, and then I'm going to replace the top and the bottom. I'm going to hold this up, and that's where these chain nose pliers come in real handy, because I'm going to pull that around at a 90-degree angle. Then I'm going to go ahead and push my wire away from me. I'm going to pull it toward me. I'm going to push it away from me, and I'm going to pull it toward me. And when I'm done with that, I can take it off and snip that off. Last step here, well, second to last step, I want to make sure that I tuck that tail in really nicely. You can always tell the difference between someone who has made rushed wrap loops and clean and time-taken wrap loops if that little tail is tucked in. But then what I always do is I come up here and I give a little squeeze just to make sure that that loop is really where it needs to be. Now, if I had every wire worker, no matter how many times you've made wrap loops, one goes wonky. I was very lucky in this demonstration. My loop's pretty good. Feeling pretty good about myself. But inevitably, wrap loops they're really hard to make. Yeah. Especially no matter how many times you practice, it's going to get a little wonky. And that nylon head or that nylon inner jaw also just kind of has the opportunity to hold on to it and move it back into place. Right. And why that's important is if you grab wire, especially if you're using thicker wire like 18 gauge, 16 gauge wire, right. If you grab that with your pliers, if you're not really careful, there is a chance that you're going to put a little nick, a little ding, a little mark in your wire. As wire workers, we don't want any of those things. Right. We don't want nicks, don't want dings, we don't want to mar our wire. And that's why that nylon is so important. Right. Because by using that nylon, you really eliminate the risk of messing up your wire as you're working with it.
It's really good too for holding other things as well, other metal components. So if you need, to hold on, if you're going to wire wrap onto something, using those and using the nylon part of it to hold on to whatever component you're using, if it's metal, is definitely going to save you from nicking and making a pliers mark on those as well. So I was really excited to get our hands on these, and I'm really, really happy that I'm able to bring these to you instantaneously almost, right?
In real time.
In real time. From Bead Fest, it's a Bead Fest frenzy. And like I said, guys, these are available on ourbeads.com, and they're available as part of our Bead Fest frenzy, 20% off store-wide. So after Bead Fest is over, that 20% off is no more. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. I'm not sure. I don't want to say yes or no.
I'm not counting down yet.
You're not ready to go home or anything, are you?
No, I'm not ready to say goodbye to. I'm not ready to say goodbye to Bead Fest. This has been such a wonderful. It's been a wonderful reunion with beauty friends.
Yes.
Absolutely. And to celebrate all of those new friends and all of the fun that we've had here, we're going to give some things away. You got some free things, because of course we all love some free things, right? Fantastic. All right. That's it for us, you guys. This is it's bittersweet because it really is kind of the end of Bead Fest Live. So the next time we see the Art Beats team, will be back to our regular scheduled programming and hopefully recovered. And definitely sad to have to leave for sure. But thank you all for joining us, whether you have been here live in the audience or if you've been joining us from home. It has been a pleasure. I've had so much fun. Thank you, Meredith, for hanging out with me and Fran again. All right, guys. We will see you guys again very, very soon. Don't forget to close out your carts because, you want to get that 20%. So.